If you like our content about training, then you'll love our programming too. Head to the notes below to grab a free week of general physical preparation. You get unlimited access to me and fresh programming every single week for less than $1 a day.
Welcome back to the Hyperformance podcast.
The boys have been working on back-end systems, so I guess
Hell
we'll
yeah.
fill you in on all those things later.
Hell yeah. And I mean, this won't really matter too much because the pod's coming out after. But did you say you're releasing something tomorrow?
Yeah. So we have a coaching offer. I'm opening up my coaching books for the first time in 2 years. And I believe by the time this podcast is out, everything about that will have been released.
Yeah. Exciting. It's fucking super exciting. So, I mean, we'll delve into this a bit later, I guess, but like, what's the inspiration behind that? Because at least from where I've been sitting, you've been like relatively aggressively pushing this online thing for a while. And I think you probably just kind of burnt yourself out a bit in terms of like, you know, having your coaching books open. But why now? Why is this the time to open them back up?
I'm just getting the craving to just generally physically prepare a bunch of people. I guess that's sort of it. I took a sabbatical from one-to-one coaching online, and I guess we should sort of go. I've loosely touched on why I got over it in the first place, but initially, when I was transitioning into having a full-time online coaching business, again, doing the one-to-one online coaching, I would just take on absolutely anyone. Obviously, I had a limit in terms of total clients that I was willing to take on at once. I never had more than 30 or anything like that. But in terms of if someone was like, yeah, I want to sign up for one-to-one coaching, there was no expectation in terms of a commitment from them in terms of how long they're going to do it for, or as far as just me vetting whether they're an appropriate fit or not. And that's what led to me getting burnt out. Because I was just like, yeah, if this person likes the content and they're interested in how I talk about training, I'm just going to give them a chance that they're going to be a good coaching fit. But it just sort of led to, again, you know, one of the biggest emotional investments in the online coaching process is just the initial onboarding process, like building a relationship with the person, getting to know them, developing their initial training cycle and things like that. And so many people just can it after week one. And like, this is the thing, I have had amazing one-to-one online clients, but that was from luck, not my ability to vet them and actually make sure if they were a good fit or not. And it was all those sorts of aspects of it that led to the burnout, as well as other aspects of the business taking off so hard that I was just moving in the direction of less friction. And don't get me wrong, I loved the educational aspect of the business, building out products such as the mentorship, and I think they're really impactful. And I'm really, really proud of, you know, the impact that those things had. But then not only just this, me realizing that, if I just, you know, ask for a certain level of commitments, like, you know, 12 weeks minimum and stuff like that, just put some systems in place to stop me getting burnt so much like that. Then that will connect me with the type of clients that I actually enjoy working with. And it would be not only less cup draining, but actually like a cup filling process. But like I said, the reason I didn't rush back into online coaching, because my online coaching books haven't been open for 2 years. So like I said, I was just working on the education products and those sorts of things. But then I started to sort of almost develop a new version of my own imposter syndrome, or like, not really imposter syndrome, because I know I'm a good coach and I know that I'm a good educator, but just wanting to sort of have a public demonstration of that. Just like getting jealous of other coaches, getting sick results with people and be like, oh, I could be doing that. You know, not really like that, but just like, all right, well, let's create the space and open up my coaching books again. Sorry, one other thing, and just as someone who has, you know, I'm an experienced coach. I think this is my 10th year in the industry, but I don't like the idea. It doesn't sit well with me just to transition full-time into an educator, like I've like completed or graduated coaching. I know that's not how it actually is, but I think there's sometimes almost like a perception of that. It's like, no, it's like, I haven't got as good a results with people as what I think I can get yet. So just really pushing for that and trying to be the coach that I know I can be.
Yeah, which is really interesting, because that's kind of what I was going to say. I think, at least from where I'm sitting, it's very much sounded like the reason why you even developed the online, you know, programs and group things you now have was kind of to solve a problem that you had and it's a good problem to have, but you had too many people wanting your time basically. So the group stuff and the programs was like a way to almost like distribute your services, you know, in a more streamlined manner, but effectively deliver them to more people with taking up less of your time. And I think it's interesting that like that's kind of come full circle for you now, and you're almost missing the one-on-oneness of it. And I get it, but I think the coolest thing about it is that like the result is that there's different versions of you to go around now. You know what I mean? Like you've got the programs, you've got the more mass, like general stuff. And then if people want to get further down the rabbit hole, they totally can. And
you know what I'm really accepting now as well? That just like life happens in seasons. And, you know, I had a big education season and content creation season and like business mentoring season, and it's fucking back into coaching season full swinging. And like I never transitioned fully out of coaching products. Obviously, we've had the Train Heroic program, but again, that was put in place to solve a problem. It's like, well, I want people to be able to get some sort of training program from me. But it was very much that sort of thing where I was like, I'm not worried about what sort of person signs up to that, because again, I have very few responsibilities to them. It's like if they ask a question in the group chat or ask for a form check, I got to get back to it. But it's not even me writing a program for someone else. It's just like a train along with Angus. Just if you want to train how I train, you can jump into it. Whereas now this is much more, well, there is very much it's a bit of a different offering. It's actually a little bit more than one-on-one coaching. It's a little bit of a thing that I don't know if I'm sure people have tried to do it before, but not quite like this. And I doubt it's been done as well as this. It's not just one-to-one coaching with Angus. It's two-on-one coaching with Angus and Jacob.
Yeah. Right. Okay, cool.
Huge.
And I guess a big part of it as well, like what sort of got us thinking about this, other than just my desire to reopen my coaching books and build out a bit more of a coaching business with Jacob. But I think that there's always been sort of this question about what the hell is GPP? And GPP sort of is what it is. Like people have seen the content. But then as far as like trying to come up with a little bit more of a specific definition of what does it actually mean, at least to me and Jacob and to us, like what does it mean in our eyes to be generally physically prepared? So we've come up with a series of tests, and it's almost like this GPP combine. So we're going to do a launch-based coaching model. And don't get me wrong, we're here to tailor the program to your specific goals and things like that. But then we also have just anyone who is enticed by this idea of putting themselves to the test and seeing how generally physically prepared they can get. We're going to have a testing week, first week of October, where we put you through this full GPP combine, record all your test results, and then just 12 weeks of intensive GPP S&C training, and then a big retest and just see how generally physically prepared we can get people. And a big part of this is like, you know, I guess when people talk about like the ideal avatar, we have so many people, I think, that are sort of reformed meatheads. They're enamored by this like hybrid training arc, or this idea of training more variously, being more generally physically prepared. They have a good strength base and they don't want to move completely away from that, but maybe they lack the confidence to coach their own plyometrics. They feel like a little bit of a goose when they're doing their marching or sprinting drills in the middle of the gym. So just coming up with something to help those people and guide them on their journey to being generally physically prepared. Not just, again, me writing their programs, but me and Jacob collaborating on their programs. Again, individualizing it, tailoring it to their needs.
Should we say what the tests are in the combo?
Yeah, hell yeah. Do you want to run them through it?
Okay, let's run through it. I'll bring it up. 1 second. So for the cardio area of the GPP combine, we have a 5-kilometer run. So just as however fast you can do 5Ks in. For the speed component, we have a 10-meter fly. And then we also have for power a power clean, as well as a standing vert test that's relative as well to your reach. Then for strength, we've put in a max squat and max bench. And I believe that is it.
Yeah. And like
Correct?
gymnastics is another part of it, and just like training a bit more variously in the weight room. But those are sorts of things that'll be part of the programming. But like, I just couldn't come up with a good test for the gymnastics because, again, some people will just sort of look at the gymnastics component as like a way of spicing up their accessories. Some people might want to get a muscle up. Some people might want to work on the handstand or progress towards cartwheels and aerials and those sorts of things. So that's all going to be a part of the program. But I was like, I just didn't really, I don't know, maybe there will be a test for that eventually. But again, I think all of the tests that we actually have, it's like you're still going to have to be like pretty in control of your own body weight, good strength to power ratios. So I think it also, is still a good representation of your general physical preparedness.
Mm-hmm. So if someone was thinking about getting into training of like with you in whatever form that is, would you recommend they jump in the group stuff first, and then if they want more to get involved with you guys, or is it kind of two different products for like, is one an evolution of one, or is it just two different products for two different needs, if that makes sense?
So the Train Heroic program is just for people who it's very accessible. It's only $1 a day, and just got all your programming taken care of, and you get feedback and things like that. But this is a much more premium version of that. If you sign up to the Train Heroic program and you're not logging your workouts, I'm not going to hassle you about it and things like that. And like, obviously there is a limit to the amount of feedback we can afford to give people in something like that. But this is capped. You've got both me and Jacob watching over you, tailoring your program specifically to your needs, helping you overcome the challenges that you're facing specifically. And yeah, I think the accountability aspect of it is huge. And even just the fact that it's 12 weeks with a start date and an end date in mind, it's like, it is going to be, I think the results are going to be fucking crazy. Whereas the GPP thing is like, there's been people in that who've been in it for over 12 months. And like I said, they've had amazing results, but this is going to be a much more fast-paced version of it.
Accelerated, yeah, for sure. I definitely agree.
Sweet.
And we'll also have a lot more accountability as well. So you'll be in contact with us, having much more questions, much more open dialogue, just to see where you're at. We want as much participation from people as possible, especially the more you're expressed to us, the quicker you'll get your results. So yeah, that's the whole idea behind it as well.
Right on. So how many slots is there? Like, do people need to get in fucking quick? What's the go?
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. I just wanted to take a second to let you know that Angus has poured all of his knowledge on e-commerce and organic content into an ebook, which is now available. If you want to check it out, head to the show notes or the link in Angus's bio. Thanks.
I believe it is open to 20 slots. Yeah, 20 slots at the moment.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we want to have it in a way where we can sort of keep attention to a lot of people and give them our 100% as well. And yeah, that's the 20 slots there. We didn't want to do it too much to the point where we're spreading ourselves thin, the both of us. So this first group of people, I believe, will be very lucky to have like us and our attention that much at the start. So yeah.
Oh, totally. No, I think that's super cool, and I think it's good keeping it to that kind of number, because like realistically, if you guys stretch yourself too thin, then how is it any different from anything else?
Yeah,
exactly. Else, I mean, like, how is it different from the group program? So the first kind of like intake is gonna get a very like a very focused you and Jacob on it, in that like there's not gonna be much spreading of your attention out. You're gonna be pretty honed in on it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think that's I've never really done 12-week coaching packages or anything like that, because I mean, historically, my perspective has been when you sign up for coaching with me, especially one-on-one, my goal is to coach you for a couple of years, because my belief is that that's how you get the best results, just working with people for longer and longer. You strengthen the relationship, you learn more about them, what makes them tick and things like that. Whereas this is a bit of a different approach where it's just like, all right, let's see what the fuck we can get done in a hard 12 weeks. How much can we increase leveling up your video game character as hard as you can, all of those stat bars in 12 weeks, getting as generally physically prepared as possible. We nearly called it GPP by Christmas, because like I said, when you look at where the testing week is, and then 12 weeks after that, it's finishing up just a couple of weeks out from silly season. Or it was going to be like hot GPP summer, GPP'd by some of it. I was like, is that going to be weird for the Northern Hemisphere people? But like, they know I'm Aussie, so
Yeah.
And that's not really an evergreen name as well. So
yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's super cool.
And so one other thing we're doing with this
Yeah.
as well, like it is the GPP lifestyle. We want it to be accessible to everyone. Like we've got these metrics, and what we're going to develop as well is some sort of proprietary algorithm to spit out this GPP score. So kind of we just want to see like who can get the biggest GPP score, who's the most generally physically prepared person out there. So, and that's for, like I said, we'll be trying to push up our 20 people's GPP scores, but if you either didn't make it in or you want to, still take care of your own training, you'll be able to calculate your GPP score as well. So this is something that everyone can participate in.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's definitely going to be, quite the process as well to get the score really, really fine-tuned. So that'll be a process. But yeah, it's going to be, scale to body weight, obviously, and evenly balanced across the qualities. So there's
so many things that we have to work out when it comes to tuning it into a formula as well, because like, as far as like whether people are back squatting or Zercher squatting, I think we just sort of landed on just do whatever squat you can lift the most weight in, but then just logistically working out like some sort of algorithm for that's actually a fair representation evenly of all those physical qualities. And even Jacob sort of brought up a fair point. It's like, do we want to equally emphasize all physical qualities? Are all physical qualities created equal? Because and Jacob brought this up as well, and I completely agree with him. I think something that is sort of underemphasized is the aerobic system and just how much that underpins every other physical quality, especially if your sport lasts longer than 2 minutes. So I don't know. Who knows where we'll actually land with that? But there's quite a bit. We want the formula to be good. So maybe we won't even have the formula ready for this actual coaching intake, but sometime, hopefully before 2025 comes around, we're going to have this GPP algorithm and GPP score worked out. Going to probably have to hire a mathematician. If you are a budding mathematician, statistician, and you think you could help us work this out and you'd like to work with us on this, please reach out to either myself or Jacob through Instagram. No, don't DM me on Instagram. Email me, please. Angus@generalphysicalpreparation.com.au. And you will be remunerated for your efforts.
And as well, I believe that we're going to have this score in a public website, and we'll have the scores hopefully in the future from my imagination, like a nice little leaderboard. So I've already sort of had some ideas who would have some great scores. I don't even think I think that was just in my brain. I just aired that out, not even to Gus. So yeah, I think that would be great. Just to have a live leaderboard. Hopefully it'd have to go through some vetting processes. We're not going to have some randoms just put in their scores and just get themselves at the top. So yeah, that's another thing that will definitely be in the pipeworks later on. But yeah,
are you guys going to put yourselves on the leaderboard?
And I think you know what it is for me as well. So yeah, absolutely. Because one thing I was going to say is I am coming to the tail end of my track off season, and when I have been training, it's been phenomenal. But I did sort of talk about how the biggest threat to my off season was me doing too many surf trips, and especially me doing too many surf trips to places where I get tummy bugs, start spraying out both ends, and then lose a bunch of weight. And that has absolutely happened again on this trip. Like,
you're constantly
so I'm like,
fight weight.
What? Yeah, exactly. It was fully just like Team America style, out both ends for 6 hours straight with a fever. I've been trying to hunt down a set of scales the last couple of days so I can weigh in and just sort of see what the damage is. But I need an intense 12 weeks of training myself as well. So I'm also highly motivated over these next 12 weeks to just fucking test myself in this battery combine and get my GPP scores up before the track season hits. Or like I said, the last month of this sort of 12-week period, I'll already be running a few track meets, but it's really good timing for me as well heading into summer and just not going into any more countries with dirty water until track season's over.
Yeah. And I'd love, as well, just to add on to that leaderboard aspect, I'm just thinking of names just that we'll see on that leaderboard, like Alec Blennis, Will Rattel, all these hybrid beasts. Like, it's going to be awesome to see.
Wait,
what tell you name you're not going to see on the leaderboard?
Here we go.
What was that?
Atlas.
How did I know?
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, so if I can just get this right, so this leaderboard's open to anyone, not just people that are doing the program. Not
Yeah,
the program,
absolutely. It's like if you
Okay.
think you're generally physically prepared, do the test, put your numbers in, and see what your score is. And then over time as well, I guess we'll sort of try to come up with grades for people as well, because not everyone's as hyper competitive as me and maybe Jacob, where we want to see ourselves definitely like squarely in that top 10. But then also just, if it does get highly competitive, just coming up with grades where it's just like, under 50, dog shit, 50 to 70, not completely fucking useless, but then I don't know who knows what numbers this thing's going to spit out, but we'll come up with a number. It's just like, you are certified, generally physically prepared, but then come up with some sort of elite standard as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one because I kind of feel like this, or maybe that's not fair, but I kind of feel like this might become the new push-pull run. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously push-pull run is like a once a year situation, and this is more of a rolling leaderboard. So it's it can very much exist like alongside, like be complementary too. But yeah, do you see any of those boys getting involved? Any of the Melbourne Strength boys?
Yeah, hell yeah. And because that's the thing, like push-pull-run is very much a hybrid event. And that's the thing, like hybrid training, GPP, they're like overlapping concepts, but they're not the same thing. And that like they coexist really nicely. So yeah, similar sorts of vibes there.
Yeah, totally. No, I think it's really cool. It already feels like the GPP thing would kind of be like a league table, like a World Series type situation. And then like the push-pull run would be like your one-off, like Olympic event type thing,
Yeah, maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll head back to Bali and actually do a in-person GPP combine intensive one day.
Fucking hell. Like, that sounds hectic anyway, but like...
Because I gotta say, around Bali, and especially the Bukit Peninsula, GPP stocks are pretty fucking high.
Yeah. Should we tell the story?
If you want access to a community of like-minded coaches, head to the notes below and join our free school community. I'm in there every week doing Q&As, and there's plenty of educational content on the way as well.
Yeah, so me and Angus were sitting in a laptop lifestyles in Bali, having a lovely breakfast and a coffee while we're working. And then I see this...
Working on the business, not in the business.
Working on, yep. We see this guy just knock on the window and just start flexing. And me and Angus are like, yeah, what the fuck? And then we could just slowly start to hear the GPP boys. So shout out to you down in, I forgot what the cafe's called. I should remember. Bamboo Cafe in Uluwatu. So shout out to you.
Right on.
And yeah, we had some other people as well. But yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Everyone who comes up who is like, who's engaging with the content or who feels like they're part of the community, they're just, I don't know, just with the way I behave online, I've just had so many people always sort of commenting. It's like, oh, with the way you behave online and the shit you put out, like think of the kind of people you're attracting. And that did create a little bit of an insecurity in me. I'm like, what kind of an audience and a community am I building? Because to some extent, it is going to be a reflection of myself. But every single fucking time I meet someone from the GPP community, I'm just like, sick cunt. Absolute fucking sick cunt. And it just fills me with so much pride. I love the GPP community. And that's why I want to have things like this and I want to have events in the future. But like this has been the thing that's been missing. And it takes so long to build this out to realize its full potential. But that is one of the big things that needs to be addressed. It's just like, I am the central touch point for this GPP community. But as much as I guess a lot of people in the GPP community like me, it's like you're going to like each other as well. Because again, we all have this common thread. Like we're all unique in our own way, but there is this common thread of general physical preparation that unites us. And I feel like there is a bit of a shared sense of humor. And obviously we put out a lot of edgy memes and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just, for me, that is just one of the most validating things, just seeing someone in the stream be like, GPP, and just having a 5-minute chat with them and just be like, fuck, I'd have a beer with this person. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so fucking cool. Because I think you could totally be involved in GPP, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think you could be involved in GPP and not really know your guys' faces that well. Do you know what I mean? Like GPP, like, is a training program. Like,
yeah,
besides from anything else. You know what I mean? There's no real need for people to like be that invested in what you guys look like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if that makes any sense. But yeah, that's fucking gnarly. Like you must be very into it and people must be very into it if that's what's happening. You know, if you guys are getting recognized in fucking different countries, like that's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't got old yet.
Fucking A.
Nah, unreal feeling. Please, if you're ever, I know I'm speaking to a few people, but if you see us, come say hi. It makes
right on.
So, yeah.
That's super cool. That's super cool. So is this the start of the next big thing for GPP, or is this the start of more things to come?
Yeah, I guess this really does have like a phase 2 feel for it, both like, you know, launching this new coaching side to the business, or I guess like relaunching and re-emphasizing the coaching aspect of the business rather than just emphasizing the content and the education side of it. But then also, I guess within the business, this is very much like a phase 2 thing. Like Jacob has been working for GPP as initially it was intended to be a coaching role from the start, but then I just shoehorned him into a content creation role regardless of what he wanted to do. And Jacob's done an astounding job at that. But then even with the amount of content that he's been able to help us produce, Jacob has just been so underutilized because, again, the whole reason I took him on wasn't because I thought he could make content. I knew I'd be able to turn him into a content creator if I needed to, but I just identified him as a really intelligent and talented coach. And I've just done a terrible job at delegating any sort of work to him. I mean, we covered all this in the previous boiz episode of the podcast. The goal was to just bond and delegate and work together while I was in Bali. And it's been everything that I wanted it to be and more. Like, came out here, I've crossed another wave off my bucket list, but then as I'm out there ripping up Bingen or getting dragged over the fucking reef, I come in, Jacob's on the beers, working on the business, and then we go out to dinner and we just talk more about our vision for GPP. And yeah, it's just been fucking phenomenal. So this really does feel like the start of a new era for general physical preparation. It's a much more like equal thing with me and Jacob and just me overcoming my stupid delegation and trust issues.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Definitely
It's real
feels
funny.
great.
I think I don't know if this is the way you've always rolled or if it's just like I'm just kind of, it's the first time I'm really like seeing you in this kind of a zone, but like I feel like the last couple things you've released that have like seemingly been quite a big deal for the business, or at least for where you see the business heading, you've very much just like done them and been like, yep, gonna launch this tomorrow. And like that's cool. That's real cool. But like, I guess it's funny because I'm sitting here being like, is this a sign of things to come? And I'm like, he obviously doesn't fucking know what's to come. Like he'll do whatever he's feeling like, and then he'll put it out tomorrow and be like, woohoo, like, let's fucking have it. Which is groovy. Like it's your fucking business. Like do it how you want to do it. But I just think it's cool that like, I don't know, even at that, like it feels to me like the GPP, not just the brand, but I feel like the products themselves and the thing you're trying to make it into, like even that is kind of an extension of who you are. Do you know what I mean? Like even that's kind of an extension of how you do things and people are responding to it. Like I remember when you told me you were going to drop that ebook like the next day, I was kind of like, well, yeah, like, do we want to do it? Sure, book.
I mean, I grinded on that thing for a month, but then as far as like once it was ready, I was like, all right, send.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it's just like, I remember when you said you were going
how much do you have to warn people about a book? It's like, boom, there it is. Because like when you announce it, that's when people are going to be the most excited about. I'm like, guess what? This thing that you just realized exists, you can get that shit right now. I mean, and that's always been a frustration of mine, just people always teasing things. And I'm like, we're in an attention-based economy. Don't tease it. Just slap them across the fucking face with it. But having said that, we are, I guess now that it's much more of a partnership, we are sort of entering, just by the nature of its structure, a much more, I guess, intentional and a little bit more premeditated in terms of like where things are sort of heading. And I think you sort of realize this. And I touched on it before with why I pivoted so hard into education, just sort of moving in the direction of less friction But I'm kind of done with that, and I'm very serious about the vision that I have, because I'm just coming to a point in my life where there's only so many days left and there's a lot to do. So I've realized that I need to be much more intentional about this sort of stuff if I want to be happy when everything's said and done.
Yeah. And look, man, proof's in the pudding. Like you're currently very happy with the way the ebook's going. So like, why fucking change it? And yeah, like I said, like if it works, it works. And yeah, fucking zero criticisms for me. And like, but I think it's just a funny thing because like, I don't know, like you said, you spent a month writing that thing, and then like every bit of me, and maybe this is conditioned in from, I don't know, being in the music game as long as I have been, who fucking knows, but like every bit of me was like, right, okay, you're not gonna promo that thing, not gonna try to hype it up a bit, you're just gonna be like, all right, there you go. But like, man, if it works, it works. And like, fucking make your own.
Well, it did work. I mean, we had a 30 grand month. So if anyone was skeptical just off that product, 30K launch month. So I feel like that's a pretty nice proof in the pudding that content works to drive sales.
Totally.
So that was especially validating because I've been crapping on business coaches for years. So it was very
it was about time you did something
to do it in front of them and be like, see, that's how you fucking do it.
And I guess that too, like it's not like you're competing for like a chart position or some kind of, like, it's not you're out there like trying to build numbers all at once to get, you know, some kind of like number 3 on the leaderboard of e-commerce ebooks put out that week. So like, yeah, I mean, I guess there's nothing to stop you. Like the difference between you promoting something before it comes out and after it comes out, there's not really much to it. Like if it's gonna have the same effect either way.
No, it's just about putting it into people's hands so they can start getting the value out of it as soon as possible. Yeah, it's not like we need everyone to buy it once. Yeah, I understand that musician's perspective of trying to chart with something would like calibrate your brain in a certain way. That's funny.
I think it's that, and it's also just like constant kind of algorithm competition, you know? Like I think anytime anyone does things, you're kind of realistically, you're pandering towards an industry or an algorithm. And like you said, if you post as much as you do and you kind of understand the algorithm, or you feel the algorithm as much as you do, then like, yeah, you know, like it's not like you'd hype up any of your other posts that much. So like, why would
and this is also an internal response, I guess, or sort of a natural response to, I feel like maybe there is a perception after this, just releasing this content and ecom ebook and the fact that it did go so hard. I'm sure there's a lot of the ops on the sidelines. I'm sorry, not even the ops. Why am I making up enemies in my head that don't actually exist? But maybe this perception, because I think that there's a cliche where a lot of people just, once they start doing a little bit of the business stuff, they just pivot fully out of coaching, and the end game for everyone is just to be this like online business coach. I'm like, oh, no. I am a fucking coach. So I want to help other coaches with their content and with their business. But first and foremost, I'm a fucking coach and a weapon of a coach at that. And yeah, like I said, this new coaching thing is going to be a great demonstration of that.
If you're sick of going goblin mode on the same 4 accessory exercises at the end of every single session, head to the notes below and grab our free gymnastics program. It'll change the way you think about accessories forever.
It's funny because I think everyone on the other side of the coin, I think everyone who makes things and hypes them up and teases them and all the rest will be sitting there going like, oh, nah, people won't care. Like, that's just the wrong way to do it. But I think there's almost something really exciting to the fact that people that follow you have no fucking idea what's coming next.
Well, and it doesn't need to be hyped up if it is a good fit, right? Or drop something tomorrow. It's like, it's either a valuable product or it's fucking not. You know what I mean? Like that's my perspective. It's like, do you have an audience? Have you created something valuable? Like that's sort of how it works in my brain.
Yeah, which again is kind of part of your whole mantra of like, there's, well, I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but you basically say all the time that like there's good and bad content, and if your numbers aren't there, then like it's probably just bad content. And like you could say the same thing about the product. You know, it's like if it's not selling,
offer first. Yeah, make a good offer, and
totally. It's like if your product's not selling, is it because you didn't hype it up for a month before you released it, or is it because it's not that great a product, or because you haven't created your audience? I guess, but
yeah. It's really like that win or learn mentality. And I mean, so far it's just sort of been I haven't had to learn too much. Oh, sorry, I'm learning all the time, but yeah,
I
no,
haven't learned
none of
at all.
those big defeat-based learns.
Yeah. You've never had like a flop.
Nah, don't jinx it though.
Well, you know,
Touch some
never
wood,
mind.
Harvey.
No, I'm just kidding, man. I've got so much wood around me right now. Wooded up to the tears.
Fucking hell. Happy New Year. Is that Pocari sweat you're drinking?
Oh
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
we are posted up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you really do have
Dehydration is terrified of us.
I mean, I don't know if it would be a
Absolutely
good idea
shaking
to
their
shift my
boots.
camera over to the left side of my room, but yeah, you would see almost like a recycling bin full of Pocari sweat bottles.
hectic.
Like a busy.
If anyone from Pocari Sweat listens to the show, we would take a sponsorship.
It's
Yeah,
actually
we are
such
looking
good-
for
it's pretty
endorsement
good.
from
I'm a big
Asics
fan.
Footwear and Pocari Sweat for hydration.
Yes, but also realistically, anyone that wants to get involved, give us a yell. We're not exclusively wed to those brands. Well, look, just on the ebook for a second, because we haven't actually really spoken a whole lot since that came out. So, like you said, sales have been great, and that's really cool. But I was just kind of thinking about it a bit, and I was just almost thinking about it from the angle of someone who maybe is doubting it somewhat. And I was a bit like, what would you say to someone who thinks that the ebook can't be that worth it because your experience is mostly on Instagram, and because content, like you've said before, content is so kind of like platform, like the medium is the message, right? Like platform is so influential in the content, or the content doing well or not so well. What would you say to someone who says that, well, the book must not be all that comprehensive then because your experience is mostly on Instagram, if that makes sense?
It's just not the case because, again, we've built out the podcast. It is an audience in its own right. And then also, as soon as I sort of transitioned into YouTube, I mean, I hit 1,300 subscribers within a couple of months of having a crack at that. And yeah, so it's, and again, even just going back to, it's not an Instagram book. It's like, it's a principle driven book. That's the whole reason why we sort of talk about that concept of the Marshall McLuhan. He's the one who came up with that statement. The medium is the message. So it just is the principles of just gaining attention and principles about, like, even deeper than like making content for Instagram or making content in general. It really just is a book to improve your communication skills, I would say, as a whole. And just the way you think about communicating with different people and like across different platforms, whether it be face-to-face, whether it be through some sort of online platform, whether it be a short-form content platform or a longer-form one, or whether it be through even email or anything like that. It is going to make you a better communicator across all of those. And there's some principles that are a thread through all of those things. But then again, thinking about that the medium is the message, acknowledging, I guess, the individual constraints of each of those platforms. And when we touch on a lot of those specifically, especially the ones that I feel like are good choices for coaches trying to build an online brand and create more awareness like that. And like I said, there's a money back guarantee as well. And then one of the other things that I knew would be helpful for anyone who was skeptical initially about the book would be seeing a little bit more social proof. But this is something I talk about in the intro of the book as well. This is not like 6 weeks to a 6-figure business. I'm pretty upfront about this. It's like, if you really want to maximize the value out of this fucking book, commit to this for 2 fucking years and it will completely change your life. But then also sort of accepting that truth of like, oh, fuck, what sort of testimonials am I going to be getting and social proof am I going to be getting within the first month? But there's already been coaches who are like, yep, have just been consistent over the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks of content creation, getting hundreds of thousands more views, hundreds, some people thousands more followers. And then, yeah, obviously as they build that audience and continue to nurture that and then develop valuable products, we'll start to see some people realizing some serious financial gains. What's been, I guess, frustrating about the release of the book is there's so many accounts, like fitness accounts with 10,000 plus followers, that are always DMing and being like, oh, I can't get any clients online. Oh, I don't make any sales whenever I release anything, or I can't keep my audience consistently engaged. And none of those people have bought the book. And they're the kinds of people who could literally make tens of thousands of dollars within a couple of weeks of this purchase. So all those people are off the tip. No more fucking free business advice for the accounts over 10,000. Some of these people have hundreds of thousands of followers. And the advice I've given them about content creation and customer journeys and nurturing a fucking audience has made them tens of thousands of fucking dollars and haven't even sniffed the ebook. Not that I'm bitter about it because I'm doing well, but I'm like, geez, guys, thanks for fucking
They
nothing.
did the hard part, I feel like. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
They did the hard
absolutely.
Part of
Yeah, getting some momentum and just getting a little bit of traction, building a little bit of an audience is the hardest part. And
it's so hard. Yeah.
Okay, well, taking that into account then, right? So it's a principle-driven book and it's not platform-specific, as it were. With all that being said, it's 2024. And I don't know how to say this and not sound silly, but I'm being completely serious here. Like, why have you not taken over TikTok yet?
Because this is something that I've sort of been trying to address. How do I want to discuss this? It's really, really hard to keep expanding and keep doing things like that when you're already exceeding all of your goals, whether it be I'm like exceeding my goals in terms of audience growth, I'm exceeding my financial goals. And this is a part of my own personal psychology I'm trying to address. This is actually something my Angus Cowan, shout out to him, who assists me with my email marketing. I was actually watching his mentor's YouTube channel the other night, and this is a guy who's mentored people to, make millions and millions of dollars a year. And he's like, very few people are capable of doing a 50, 60K month and then just not giving themselves a break. And he's like, but it's the exact same stuff and the exact same things that got you to a 50 to 60K month that will get you to doing 6-figure months, to get you doing $1 million a month. It's just so few people have that internal psychology where it's like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And I have it to a certain extent with content creation because, again, I keep growing there and I'm just rigidly consistent with it. But then I just it felt like a personal call out. I was like, oh, wow, like I really do. I'm not squeezing out every single bit of life of this thing that I could. So that's kind of going to be my focus now. So yeah, within a year, and not even TikTok, because I don't think that's when I do my SWOT analysis, I would say that's not our biggest opportunity right now. Like the biggest stupid thing that I'm not doing right now is just redistributing every single piece of vertical video content that I'm doing across YouTube Shorts. Because that's going to act as its own top funnel into the YouTube channel as well. So that needs to be addressed. I need to put systems in place for that well before I even address the TikTok thing. But then again, it's like I am making vertical video content. I'm doing the hardest part of the TikTok. I literally just need to open the app and post it. But again, I'm just not I haven't built that habit yet. I mean, and again, it comes down to, again, why I'm here in Bali with Jacob, because ultimately that's something I should probably delegate to him. I don't want it to be Angus Bradley on TikTok. It'll be the GPP account on TikTok.
We love that.
Sorry, you know who the book's been really helpful for? Me. Again, that's a big part of writing out my own philosophy on content and ecom made me realize that, since my audience and business has grown and changed over the last year, I need to reiterate a lot of that stuff as well. Yeah. I mean, if my own book helped me that much, like, fuck, it's got to have some value in it for everyone else. Made me realize things about myself, and I wrote it.
It's amazing. It's amazing how much you can kind of learn by just literally like compiling your thoughts somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a funny thing because they're your thoughts. So you're like, well, what can I learn from my own thoughts? Like I learned that, but
this is something that we talk about in the book. As much as writing the actual book helped me, this is something that I talk about. It's like just write more. If you struggle with content creation or communicate, just like get the reps in of writing. It's so helpful for that just self-reflection process. But again, writing at the end of the day does underpin every single form of content creation. So that's a big part as well. And that's it. First and foremost, I'm not necessarily the most amazing content creator, but I do believe that I'm a good writer, and so much of it stems from that. So again, there's a lot of strategies in the book to, one, get those reps in, but to actually improve your writing.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's interesting that as well, like what you were saying about learning things by writing the book and actually getting your thoughts down there. I feel like, and I've definitely learned this as well, but like, I feel like even you guys going back to the coaching, like the individual coaching, I feel like you just learn so much about your own training and so much about like, and you guys are obviously great at what you do. And the group thing is evidence of that. But yeah, I just feel like you can never underestimate just how much you learn from being like completely immersed in the job again, you know?
Absolutely.
When it's other people's at sort of at the hand of our knowledge, we'll
big time.
Get everything.
And
nice
that too, and you know, like
coordinated in our
you and Jacob kind of doing one-on-one stuff for the first time, or like the collabing from that aspect. Yeah, I just think there's some really cool shit to come. So just quickly, the Marshall McLuhan thing, right? The whole medium is the message.
You're in that room too.
Yeah, totally. Do you have your own, like, is this book full of little quips of your own like that, or little, like, do you think you've summed anything up as well as he had with that expression?
No.
Or like,
What do you mean? That would be disrespect. That is one of the medium is the method. That is some of the most powerful 5 words anyone has ever uttered in the history of the human race. Like, don't get me wrong. There's some fucking fire sentences in the book, and it's a really entertaining read. But like, man, like that is I can't be disrespectful of Marshall. He is one of the most influential people on the way I view the world.
But do you think you're honing in on your own little, not a catchphrase because that makes it sound really dismissive, but like, do you think you're honing in on your own, I don't know, your own tagline, your own kind of your own underpinning statement, if you will? Or is that just something you
maybe, but all of the ones that immediately come to mind, I wouldn't want to hang my hat on. Like, there's definitely something to be said for good content is good content. I guess sort of leave it at that. And that might actually be a good note to leave the show on, because we're about an hour and 15 away from sunset, and the tide is just sort of heading out. So the waves are going to start pumping and the beers are going to start flowing. And me and Jacob need to announce these GPP metrics for everyone so they can start chasing them down and getting excited about training for them. So
these waves are not going to surf themselves.
Okay, right on. We will see you guys soon. Keep your eyes out for the products and the training space that's opening up. And yeah, get ready for that GPP leaderboard. We'll see y'all soon. Get up there.
We value your input here at the High Performance Podcast. Head to the SpeakPipe link in the notes below and you can leave us a voicemail where you can ask us a question or leave us a topic for us to explore on the show. We hope to hear from you soon.